Hello, Dave Millington here. I'm the product manager for Visual Assist, and I'm joined today by Chris Gardner, our lead developer and all-around expert, and Nunu Castro, our C++-focused product manager. Today we plan to look at one of the key things that's new in Visual Assist 2024.1, a massive performance improvement for the initial pass. Now, we'll try to keep this a short webinar, but also dig into some of the technical details. Many of those watching are developers, after all. So we're going to discuss what led to that performance, briefly but hopefully in enough detail that it may be useful to you too. We'll also look at what's new in this release in general, and we'll end with a live Q&A with our team. Wherever you're watching this, type in questions. Our team is online right now and we'll answer in text, but we'll also answer questions live at the end, so stay tuned after the final slide. Also, come visit us next week at the Game Developers Conference. Our lead developer, Chris, who is online with us now, will be there, along with some other great staff. So just as a quick intro to Visual Assist, we're part of the Idea group of developer tools. I put some of the others on screen: Ultra Edit, a powerful programmer's text editor, TestRail, which is amazing for managing your automated tests, Assembler for source code hosting, Sencha for JavaScript and web dev, Embarcadero for native app development IDEs, and there are more. Now, Visual Assist has a long history and is productivity tooling for C++ and C#. Currently lives inside Visual Studio. Now, we're all programmers, and Visual Assist is built around the idea of being built by developers for developers. And so we have a big focus on things like eliminating the frustrations in Visual Studio. We all use it and have for years, so we know what needs fixing and we fix it. Now, Visual Assist also has a huge focus on things like navigation and refactoring and code generation and more. It aims to be a toolbox of key things you need to get things done, and we do it as fast as we can. We are about twice as fast for common operations as our competitors. We're low memory, low footprint, low visual footprint. We don't make a big deal of being installed inside Visual Studio and take up much screen real estate. So low footprint and low memory, yet high performance. In general, trying to be written well and respectful of your computer resources while doing a great job. And we're used for a significant proportion of the world's C++ development. Recently, we've been expanding around our core areas to add the features we already have to other areas our users work in. For example, we're widely used for C++ game development, so we added shader support. Similarly, a lot of people work in high-performance computing, so we added CUDA support. The idea is, if you use Visual Assist, we want it to be available across and useful to the multiple areas in which you work. I mentioned Visual Assist is written by developers, and so we have a focus not just on a feature list, but really on how features work. It's easy to create a product that's the kitchen sink of Feature Factory, but it's harder to be useful and smoothly useful in practice. Now, some things we added recently are fuzzy search. Now, search and navigation is one of the key reasons people use Visual Assist. Ways to open files, to find symbols, to navigate code relationships, and so forth. But of course, we all have fat fingers, and it's not enough to have good search in these dialogues, but to make it handle the fact that it's used by real people. Real people with imperfect typing and imperfect memories. Thus, fuzzy search. Or we added a new refactoring to help you move an entire class to a new file. You've probably all done this, had something grow, or tried to keep one file to one purpose and refactored things out. And moving is not just cut-pasting, but updating the references and includes as well, which I find is the painful part. And Visual Assist does that too. We also regularly expand the set of language features in C++ and C# that we support. Now, this is steady all the time, but we add them as we see interest or demand, or we expect that something will require parser work. We also, and this gets back to the concept of solving annoyances or focusing on actual real use, have added a lot of details. Things like using quote characters all the time when adding includes for Unreal Engine, or understanding VS Code config settings if you open the same code using Visual Assist, and so forth. These are the kind of things the big IDE manufacturers don't do. So that's an overview of our general approach and direction recently, expanding the core areas for related languages and libraries you may use, being useful not just in what we do, but how, which has always been a focus, but is a key one right now, and focusing on the details and solving annoyances. The idea is that an IDE with Visual Assist installed works smoothly in such a way that you may not even realize that you're relying on Visual Assist. So those were examples. Visual Assist 2024.1 does the same thing, except it adds one key extra. But to focus on these areas first, I've categorized a few new features and tweaks by the same categorization groups that I just spoke about. For example, in 2024.1, Find References lists a constructor call now, and you can navigate there directly. Focusing on real-world use, not just a feature list, we made sure that the add include feature, which adds an include statement for whatever is written in your code, understands some of the somewhat odd standard library behavior around string stream and related headers to make sure it adds the right header. Our completion dropdown is shown without mouse interaction now. Things like this, and these are small, but I think show our focus on details. So let's get on to the big change in this release, performance. Visual Assist has always had a big focus on performance. Find References, which is one of the key navigational search tools, is about twice as fast using Visual Assist as it is using the inbuilt one in Visual C++, for example. And that focus carries through to all areas. We believe Visual Assist needs to be well written. After all, we're devs and we take pride in our app. We think it should be obvious it's good software. Plus, of course, fast performance is very useful for you. When you open a solution, Visual Assist builds a database from your code. This is the symbol database, and while it's updated as you make changes, the first time is called the initial pass. And for very large projects, this could take some time. How long? Well, you might have noticed a small video running down on the bottom of the screen. This is the old version of Visual Assist doing the initial pass for the Unreal Engine Lyra demo, which, counting Unreal Engine itself, is a lot of code. It's been running roughly since we started the webinar and was recorded by one of our PMs who's with us right now, Nunu. It took him 25 minutes for the initial pass, so we've sped up the video slightly. You can see the point, it was quite a long time. Now this only happens once in theory, but sometimes you need to rebuild, and no matter how fast Visual Assist is once you've built this database, waiting even once this long was not a good thing. Now this new video sitting alongside is the new version of Visual Assist, doing exactly the same task on the same machine. And we sped both videos up by the same proportion. On Nunu's machine, the new version of Visual Assist ran 7 times faster, and we've seen much bigger results on other computers. And the one on the left, the new build, will finish about now. This webinar runs shorter than the old version's initial pass time, so we sped up both videos so they were proportionally in sync. But hopefully you see the difference. It takes a fraction of the time to do the initial first load pass. So how do we do it? Well, in the past we've optimized all sorts of things. One of the big ones was memory usage, and of course various areas of data performance, since we run via our own simple database. This time is different. The slowdown was related to Windows file access. In fact, it was due to a specific Windows API call, getFileAttributesX. Anyone with a lot of files and folders would see the same thing. When we build our symbol database, we need to find out information about the file that's being passed, and that often includes other files, such as include files. There are multiple ways to get information about a file in Windows, but we primarily used the getFileAttributes function. Despite its reputation, which is overall true, as the fastest option, it can sometimes be slow. But our real problem was simply the quantity that we were calling it. Sometimes we ended up calling it millions of times during an initial pass. This is worse when you have lots of folders, and the example we saw earlier of the Unreal Engine sample does have a lot of folders. We solved this in several ways. First, we take a little bit, not much, more memory now, and this is used as a cache for results for folders. This prevents a lot of calls ever hitting the file system, or rather, we only hit the file system once. A cache is fine here because it's unlikely you are changing code as Visual Assist is loading, so we don't actually have to verify the truth on disk more than once. Second, getFile attributes is known as the fastest option for getting file info, which is true. But it's true only for random file access. If you're getting info about a file somewhere, a randomly chosen file, and an include file can fit this description because when parsing, which file is included is effectively random to the parser. But if you are getting info about lots of files, say an entire folder full, it is more efficient to batch it up via the Windows API's find first and find next methods. And there is a bit of extra overhead there, but it's amortized out over the entire folder read. The end result? When you have a large project with lots of files and lots of folders, we get a massive speedup. So what's some actual data? Well, you might recognize this chart from our marketing material, but we tested multiple times with different machines. All were quite powerful, but some were powerful desktop and some were gaming-class laptops. Now, obviously, the data varies, and the real world is not as clean as one chart, and we took the best number for our marketing. But we're seeing real measured speedups of 11 times, 13 times, and more. Now, sometimes on some machines it's less. Our peer Nunu, who provided the videos playing in the corner earlier, saw only a 7 times speed up on his laptop. But a 7x performance improvement is still very good, and that seems about the minimum we've measured, and you will hopefully see much more than that. So there we are. As a note, we plan more performance improvements in the next release, though we can't promise anything until it's actually GA'd, but we're looking at performance not just for the first load, but in overall use. And as a reminder, that's somewhere we're already several times faster than other products. And while we're focused on performance this release, Visual Assist 2024.1 also includes improvements for add include, for various standard library weirdnesses, better navigation for constructors, and much more. Thanks for watching, and with that, we'll move on to the live Q&A. All right, thank you, everyone. We should be joined soon by our other PM Nunu and our lead developer, Chris. There's Nunu. So, a short webinar today. I hope you found it informative, though. Sometimes think it's just good to have something short and present something. I'm sure we could have drawn that out longer, but the idea is just to pack it full of information. So we saw quite a few questions come in, several about the videos actually while they were playing. Someone asking, for example, had an old box appear on the screen. You're right, actually, that was not very clear. I edited this video only a couple of hours ago, I'm afraid, and I should have made that more clear in the labeling. However, I hope it became clear as we continued the webinar. Nunu, have you seen any questions that you think we should answer? I actually had a question for you, if I can. So you very kindly provided me the videos of the old and new version of Visual Assist and the speed up, where you got a 7x performance improvement. I was wondering if you can tell us about your computer there. I mean, that was the lowest improvement that we saw, I think, in our testing. So perhaps just guide for people, if you could tell us what your system is.
Might be having some audio issues, unfortunately. So I don't think he can hear your question, unfortunately.
Sure, no worries. Well, for people who heard me ask that question, I'm afraid all I know is that he had a desktop machine, actually, but I don't know what it was. We tested on a wide range. Look, Chris, while you're here, is there anything about the performance improvements or the other new features actually that you want to mention? Just curious about some of the internals, for example.
I guess what I just want to say is this was just really it's going to be a huge bump, and I've got a question from Riser. I think maybe I can answer that now. So their question is, will there be an improvement in future that UE5 engine code which would share basically if you've got two different game solutions, you're going to have to go through two initial parses. So That is something that would be nice to kind of have. Maybe we could share the. I don't think that we totally do this yet, but I don't. The idea would be to not have to reparse the shared part of the code and just have a separate database for the game part. For source distributions, that wouldn't make sense. But for binary like for source, like when you download the entire engine source, say off of GitHub, of course that kind of comes with the assumption that you're going to be modifying it. But in the case of a binary distribution, yeah, that's something I think we could improve on. However, the parse is now so short, just a minute. On my computer, it's just a minute or two. I think that there's less of a pain point there, hopefully, at least for you. But that is something that is worth looking into, and we will be looking into that.
Yeah, it is a very nice idea, actually. So thanks for the question.
Have we used AI in improving the performance? No, we don't use AI here at Whole Tomato for dev.
I'm curious what it could do, though. I have seen people use AI to analyze code snippets for performance, but Chris, all of the performance monitoring measurement that your team did was actually through profilers and measurement, I believe. Is that
I mean, yeah, it didn't take much to know that it was taking a long time to parse this huge code base, and then it's just a matter of profiling and finding out what was going on, and that's when we found out that, well, it's during include resolution. So by improving how we, by caching things and by changing a significant amount of the code there, and optimizing some parts of the code that were just generally hit hard during that process, we've been able to make a tremendous improvement. That's generally how we did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually found that really interesting. I've never particularly looked at the Windows file APIs from the point of view of performance before, and just had this vague idea that I'd heard that you use get file attributes X, and that was it. One of those kind of, meme is the wrong word, but just like factoid knowledge that goes around devs. And when you told me the result and the techniques you were using, I found it really interesting. I hope everyone watching did as well.
Yeah, it was mainly, I think that the biggest boost came down to just the cache, really. Keeping something just on memory, and as I could say something about the size of the cache. The cache was no more than 10 megabytes, so it's pretty small, and that's basically all we needed. So we don't have to go back to Windows, and we can fill that cache intelligently. Now that we have a cache, well, we can scan whole directories at a time and cache all the results. So, next time we need another file from that directory, it's already in the cache. So there's a lot of, smarter things that we could do there. And we rolled it all into that release.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah.
I see Nunu rejoined us. I think he had audio issues. Nunu, you able to hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now perfectly.
Oh, fantastic. We tested, of course, before the webinar, but something's going to go wrong. It'll go wrong when you're actually trying to use it.
Yeah, when you are live.
Look, I had a question for you earlier, which was you very kindly provided the videos that I put in the presentation, the before and after ones. And I think 7x, which was the speed up you saw, was actually one of the lowest measurements that we found when we were testing across various computers. As I was wondering if you can tell us about the computer that you measured that on, just because since it's the lowest, and hopefully that is the smallest, and I think it's still quite good, the smallest people can expect, what can that be compared to?
Actually, this computer that I have is not a very powerful machine. It's a desktop that actually I keep up for work-related stuff that I haven't updated in a while. So I would say that if someone with a more recent computer would get probably better results. Nevertheless, it's an okay machine, but it's not up to the standards that I would say that people are using these days.
Sure. Look, I'm putting on the spot here, but do you happen to remember any of the specs?
I will have to look, actually. I can have a look if you want.
While he's taking a look, I can mention that generally what was going on is that we were it was a mix of being CPU limited, and so now you're more limited to the hard drive speeds and such. So Nuno, since he was recording a video while doing that, it might have affected things as well. It's hard to say.
That's a good point.
I mean, every computer is going to be different. But on the tests, like for example, on my computer, it was 13 times, and on that devs, the one of my devs, which was using a gaming laptop, I think it was like 14x or something like that. We've got the stats on the blog that you have.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, maybe when I edited the video, I should have actually sped it up, but I kept the exact relative things of the recording to be, truthful. But it's good to know that that people are seeing more than that usually. There's a question here from Alpha. Can I try Visual Assist in my classroom for trying? I guess as a trial. Chris,
so we do actually have an educational program. So I guess you're asking for a trial. I mean, so you can get a 30-day trial just by downloading the product from our website. It's free to try. You don't need to. I mean, it'll ask you to provide some basic information, but that's it. It'll just start working after that. No email or whatever necessary you don't have to like get a key. It just works. So you can do that for 30 days. And if you like it and you want to actually get licenses and have something for your students and such, we do have a program for that. And let me see if I can find the website or the let me see if I can link that for you where you can go.
I just pasted my computer settings on the chat for anyone that wants to have a look.
Yes, here's the academic
right,
licensings. And I don't know if you can see my response here.
That should have come up, yes. I see a link you put in the chat that should be visible to everyone.
But if for some reason you can't see it, just if you hover over the buy now on our homepage, wholetomato.com, and just go down to academic licensing. It's the second option. Buy now button's a bit of a drop down, so you can, if you click academic licensing, you can get access to that there and get some information.
Great. Nunu, thanks for pasting in the info. Look, I might need to turn in my nerd creds here, but I am out of touch with current models of hardware, so I actually don't know how to interpret that. But hopefully the people who are reading the chat do. So thanks for looking that up. There's a question here as well for you, Nunu, about when this version, or when this version will reach the Embarcadero C++ users. The background to that for people who are watching is that Visual Assist has always been in Visual Studio, but we have recently started integrating it in the second IDE, C++ Builder, which is a interesting direction. Can't really say more about future directions, but it's good. So, Nunu, there was a question about that.
So at this moment, the version of Visual Assist that we have in Rad Studio still doesn't have this news, but for future versions, we will consider adding it. So you might expect it probably in the near future. So stay tuned because maybe it will come soon.
Yeah, we do have a new version of C++ Builder coming out soon. I guess we can't be more precise. And look, I'm scanning through the questions, and I think that's about it. Nunu or Chris, do you see anything else that I have missed? There's a QR code, by the way. So our host, Martha, who is behind the scenes and running all this, messaged me to mention there's a QR code in the top left of the screen. And if you scan that with your phone, it should be able to take you to the 2024.1 download.
Although it looks like it's a bit hard to scan because the live's over it. So if you want to try Visual Assist, you just go to wholetomato.com and click download. You just download it, or you can find us on the Visual Studio extensions marketplace. You can from within Visual Studio, you can download it through there. pretty easily.
All right. Riser in the comments mentioned that the oldest machine they're using Visual Assist with is a 13-year-old Dell with Xeon processors. And VS 2022 is running on that. Sometimes it'll stuck, they say, but that yes, that is a slightly older.
Well, hopefully it'll get
CPU.
stuck a little less now, at least if during the initial parse. We've also optimized a lot of other stuff under the hood. I mean, there's a lot going on in this that's not just for the initial parse. So it should be speedier in a lot of ways that weren't necessarily worth mentioning to marketing, but ways that are noticeable. There's ways that there's, for example, just the optimizations we've done. A lot of them are very general outside of just the cache, and there's a lot more coming. Even in 2024.2.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. The new version is coming soon, and we have a company policy. We can't really speak about what's coming without a very big disclaimer. It's not until we actually GA it. But I think we can safely say that, yes, we're working on, no promises about what we'll deliver, but we're definitely working on other performance. Can't have to caveat that with we're not going to promise it in any specific version, but performance is one of our keys, and it's something we're working on. There's a comment hoping that it's improved in the next version of C++ Builder, and I imagine that will be the case. And another comment, looking forward to testing the new 2024.1 version. Fantastic. Well, let us know how it behaves. All right, look, I think I have scrolled to the end of the comments and I don't see any other. There's lots of feedback, and we really appreciate that. It's really nice sitting here reading everything that you send in, by the way. The portal that we use in Restream shows from a whole bunch of different sources where this is streamed, so it collects it together. So thank you very much for the feedback and the interest. Nuno or Chris, do you see anything that I've missed that we should answer?
No, I think we covered everything. So.
All right. Look, thanks very much, everyone. Thank you, Nuno, as well, for attending and for doing a bunch of the performance measurement. And of course, all the credit really goes to Chris and his team. They're the developers who work the magic, and amazing folk. So thank you, Chris, for attending as well.
Happy to do it.
And thanks to everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed 2020. Can't pronounce it. 2024.1. Find the new performance good. Stay tuned for what we bring you during the year.
Bye, everyone. Have a nice one.
Bye, everyone.